Hi, I'm Leroy Kime from One Horse Machinery. I'm standing next to the One Horse tool frame, which I've designed for the purpose of being able to use the readily available garden tractor sleeve hitch attachments that normally would fit a 12 to 14 horsepower garden tractor, and which seemed to me to be about the proper size to use with a single horse or a small team, maybe a small team of ponies even. And so I've developed this machine to accept sleeve hitch attachments. You're looking at the basic machine here. Everything that you see here, with the exception of the shafts, comes with your one horse tool frame package. You see the main beam, your front axle, your wheels, your swivel wheel in the back, your hitch yoke in the front, your handle, and the toolbar. These are all standard features. The toolbar is meant to accept 1.25" clamps and attachments. They can be chisel teeth, they can be cultivator teeth, they can be hillers, they can be furrowers. It's only limited by your imagination and availability of machines that you can find to attach. The one horse tool frame is made to be fully adjustable in as many ways as possible to fit the particular task that you're intending to do. For example, to begin with the handle swivels completely around to any place that you need it set. Suppose you want to work offside of your row, you simply set your handle off to the side. Perhaps you're straddling a row with your cultivator shovels or tillers or something, so you can stand off to the side. The swivel wheel is at the bottom of this tube, fastened with one pin. On many occasions, when you go to the field, you'll want to use it to transport whatever it is you're carrying. The attachments, you can raise them to travel to the field, put them in a higher position to keep them off the ground while you travel the field. When you get to the field, you can drop them down into working position. And then you pull this pin and the swivel wheel will drop out. And leave that at the end of the field. Adjust your handles to any height or position that is suitable for the job you're doing, and go about your work. You'll notice that on the toolbar there's a clamp built into the toolbar in the center. You could put a furrower there, for example, but it does come with a handle to put into that spot, so that that handle allows you to pull your pin, allows you to raise your whatever attachment you have on there easily. Is the purpose of that, but it can be taken out and it can be used as another clamp for whatever particular attachment you're wanting to put into it. When we come to the front end, we see that this wide hitch yoke, this is made so that you can hitch your horse directly in the center, or depending upon your application, you may want to hitch it off at 2-inch increments either to the left or right side. You have 9 inches that you can go either way, which allows your horse to walk between the rows while you offset your handle in the other direction to offset the side drift that can be generated by your horse walking on the side. This can be raised and lowered into 3 positions, again depending upon the size of the team or a single horse that you're working, or depending upon your line of draft. And we'll talk more about that when we come to the plow. The wheels are mounted on 1-inch shanks. They're fully adjustable up and down 16 inches, roughly 12 inches or 16-inch shanks. They can be moved in and out. And again, when we talk about the plow, we'll talk some more about that. Speaking of the plow, you also get this short plow beam which fits in the place of this long beam when you go to hitch to your Brindley sleeve hitch plow. And with that comes the sleeve hitch attachment, attachment to receive your handle on the plow. Also, with the long beam comes a pin hitch attachment, which attaches at the same point as the toolbar and allows you to pull carts, fertilizer spreaders, small pull type attachments of any kind that hitch with a pin hitch. For certain applications, particularly when you use the pin hitch, which allows you to hitch carts, drop spreaders, spinner spreaders, perhaps even a small manure spreader, use this as a forecart, we do offer a set of shafts which attach to the yoke in the front of the machine above your hitch point. Again, with a single pin, hitch it in the top hole, and now your tool becomes a forecart to use with wheeled vehicles. You can remove your handle and let the horse do the work of turning and holding back and so forth. You wouldn't ordinarily use shafts with your tillage tools, although there could be an application where you would want to, but ordinarily you would only use it with wheeled vehicles, and would give you the option of removing your handle, letting the horse control the implement, pulling and controlling whatever you're pulling. This is a typical use of pin hitch attachment, which simply attaches with a single pin, the same as your toolbar does, and it allows you to use this tool frame as a forecart to pull carts, fertilizer spreaders, drop spreaders, perhaps even a small manure spreader. It allows the horse to control the whole operation. You simply drive the horse and the horse controls everything that you're pulling. This happens to be a dump cart, swivel dump cart, made by Ohio Steel Industries, and is entirely compatible with this arrangement. This is Leroy again. I'd like to talk to you about the one-horse machine, one-horse tool frame, and the Brindley 10-inch moldboard plow. This is a standard production Brindley plow that's available from garden centers. Sometimes Tractor Supply handles it, Home Depot, Lowe's, many lawn and garden type stores, other hardwares, and thousands of them have been sold. Many of them are available from your neighbors who no longer use them with their garden tractors that they were designed for. So we're talking about the same front axle that we saw on the basic tool frame. Now we've turned one wheel around so that this wheel, which runs in the furrow, is turned in when you want to plow. And one of your first adjustments will be to decide where to set this wheel. And the way to determine that is to put a straight edge of some kind along the land side of your plow, and then measure. In this case, it's 10 inches. And that's the width of this plow bottom. It'll plow 8 inches, do a good job at 8 inches if you have a smaller horse, harder ground, or you can set it all the way out to 10 inches or anything in between. I haven't tried it at less than 8 inches. I don't know how it would do on a 6-inch cut. Once again, we have the front hitch point. We'll start here. There's all these adjustments. This is where I set it when I use a single horse hitched to this single tree, and I have the horse walking on the land, not in the furrow. If you wanted your horse to walk in the furrow, you'd have to set it over to the side so that he could walk in the furrow and you would have side draft, more side draft than you do ordinarily. The trick to setting up this front axle is that you want it to run level at all times. You want this to measure approximately the same. As you can see, I have my land wheel jacked up 5 inches, which is the depth that I was plowing when I last used it. Another way to determine that is to measure this point and this point, and the difference should be the depth of your furrow, 5 inches, 6 inches, whatever it is you're wanting to plow. This is where the short beam that I described earlier comes in. And on this short beam, you have the yoke with 3 attachment points, the same as on the long beam. If you have a tall horse, you're going to probably set this higher. If you have a shorter horse or a little horse, you're going to set it down. Or a small team, you're going to set it lower. The point is that you want a straight line of draft from the attachment point on the hames of your horse's collars, continuing right through this hitch point and terminating approximately where that bolt is on the mold board. That's the angle of draft that you want to shoot for. So you have the choice of 3 positions here: top, middle, or bottom. You have your choices of where you set your wheels, how deep you set them. Again, remembering that you want this to sit level, both when you're opening your furrow, the first furrow, laying your top round, and also when you begin to plow after that. The next point of adjustment is this hitch point right here. Once again, the plow hitches to the beam with a single pin. And there are 2 adjusting studs in the back of this hitch point, and they're to help you square up your plow with your front axle. You want this beam, your plow beam, and your axle to be square with each other. You could take a large framing square and hold it here to get it perfect, but the best thing is to take it out and plow. Then you have your coulter, which is to cut the ground. If you're plowing sod particularly, not so important in other ground. But in sod ground, you want to set it as low as you can, and there isn't a whole lot of adjustment except up and down. Remember to keep your coulter greased. The third place to adjust this plow is in this adjustment point here on top of the plow. You want to adjust that so that when your plow, the front of your plow is sitting level, you want this plow to sit level on the ground. You want to adjust it, turn this until your point sits flat on the ground, perhaps the heel elevated just slightly. But you will need to adjust that when you get to your field, because the conditions in your field is what determines where that will stay. And remember that when you have an adjustment made that is working for you, to tighten your lock nuts so that it stays in place. And of course, if you need to adjust it, you can. Always carry 15/16 inch wrench to the field with you and a 3/4 inch wrench to make your adjustments. Finally, there's the handles, the handlebars. Adjust them to make them comfortable for you. If you're tall, you're going to want to set them up higher. If you're short, of course, they can be lower. And there's infinite adjustment. Again, you could adjust them off to the side, handle off to the side if you wanted to. And you could walk on the land as well as a horse, but personally I like to walk in the furrow. Seems to make it easier for me. There's a lot that could be said about a plow. And the one thing I want to stress to you is that you make your plow work right. If you have to fight the handles, if you have to overcome draft by using your weight against the handles, something's not right. And in any of these adjustments, when something doesn't seem right, make an adjustment, but make a small adjustment. And continue to make it until the plow plows easily. Plowing should be, well, it should create joy. It's one of the primary skills that a farmer needs is to be able to do a good job of plowing. Everything that he does to that field after the plow cannot be completely compensated for a poor job of plowing. It's hard to work the ground enough after the plow is finished to take care of the problems that you can create with your plow. So work at adjusting your plow until it works right, it works easily. You're not needing to fight the handles unless you hit an obstruction in the ground. All of this, of course, also depends on the nature of your animal up front, the type of soil you're plowing, how hard it is, how dry it is, how wet it is. And all of those things are factors as well. But continue to deal with these small adjustments, only a little bit at a time. Maybe 2 turns, try it again. Maybe a turn and a half on your stud. Perhaps, certainly not more than 1 hole on your yoke. Maybe you'll want to adjust sideways. If you're using a double tree and 2 horses, you're going to have to hitch over further or put the one horse in the furrow, which you probably will want to do. But all of these adjustments, this one is pretty much going to stay where you put it originally, likely. Your goal is to keep your front axle level, keep your plow square with the front axle, keep your handle comfortable, and to enjoy the work of plowing. I'd like to show you something here about the offset hitch. Notice that I have a set of disc killers on this. They may be set a little wide depending upon what you're doing. They may not be set wide enough. I've hitched my horse off to the extreme right so that he walks to the right of the row. I've switched my handle to the left so that I walk to the left of the row. The reason I've done that is to illustrate this. When you offset your horse, you're creating a side draft. In other words, when he pulls on that side, the back of the machine wants to go to the right. I've discovered that it's easier for me to walk off to the left. It's easier for me to hold against that draft, and it's not extreme, but there is some pressure. I can hold against it better when I'm off to the opposite side of the horse, rather than being on this side and pushing against it. It seems to me that that's harder. It is for me. Just a tip. This is an AgriFab sleeve hitch disc. And notice that I've got it set in its widest position so that there's about 9 inches between the disc blades in the center. Notice that I still have my handle offset to the left and my single tree is hitched off to the right. This is for using this disc as a cultivator on plants up to 8 or 10 inches tall. You can actually cultivate and throw your dirt away from your row. Later you could reverse your disc blades and throw the dirt towards the row when the plants are bigger. And it's simply another use for this disc that I wanted to point out, and also the hitching method. Once again, I'm offsetting the handle to the opposite side that the horse is pulling from to help with the situation of side draft that creates. And this allows you to work more comfortably, in my opinion. Also allows you to work off the road. This disc, however, can be set together and used as a standard disc. This is a notch blade disc. These discs are available in standard smooth blades as well as this notch blade model. It's possible to put them together in gangs so that you have a double disc. You reverse one, attach it at this point to the other one, and then of course you'd have to walk off to the side, and it would be a bit more difficult to maneuver. If you were to use them that way, you would want to take these studs out so that the disc would have maximum, so that the hitch would have the maximum flexibility when you made your turn, because you wouldn't be able to lift your disc out of the ground. So you would want this to be able to turn while you made your circle at the end of the field. And so you wouldn't want your stud in the way to complicate that. But just another free tip from One Horse Machinery.